Welcome back to the Dynasty Rewind, everybody. I'm your host, Michael Bauer. The best in the business is once again back in business. We are short-staffed this week, but don't worry. We're going to be bringing you the heat like always. So again, I'm your host, Michael Bauer, and joining me, like always, we got Pork Man. How's it going, Pork?
Doing good, man. Just happy to talk about these tight ends today, and then we get to the good stuff next week.
Yeah, we get the quarterbacks next week, which I am pretty excited about.
Strength of the class.
That's right. And joining us, you just heard him speak. We got Nate Christian. How's it going, Nate?
I'm excited to be here. I'm on the clock in our new home league startup, and it's at the point of the draft where I'm kind of just done with all the rest of the picks. I got the guys I really wanted. Now it's all one big tier.
Let's talk about that for a second before I get into this here. Mike Huff took Tom Brady in the 5th round.
He said he's going to play till he's 50, so that's 5 more years of Tom Brady.
It's true.
It works.
I did text him just, saying, hey, a friendly, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, hey, I'm going all in this year. So you know what? That's great.
I think both of the guys from over there are going all in this year. You're looking at their rosters.
That's
Looks like it.
Because you know what? If you're a redraft player and you want to go all in on a dynasty league, the one thing I will tell you is head on over to patreon.com/dynasty rewind. $1 a month gets you in to our awesome group chat. You're just hanging out with us saying, hey, $5 a month gets you everything else, gets you all the rest of the tiers. You got written content. You have bonus podcasts. We're doing one tonight. It's going to be fantastic. And rankings. And am I missing something here?
So much right now. So much going on. IDP rankings.
Yes. Bob's doing IDP rankings, right? Yeah. Is that really? Wow. So just remember, Micah Parsons is the #1 prospect in the class, regardless of what our IDP guy says. There's my Penn State homerism coming in. But I want to talk to you guys about something right now. Let's talk about DynastyOwner.com. Fantasy sports was created to give participants the GM experience of a sports franchise. But as fantasy sports became more mainstream with more accessibility to player information, it became more about who got lucky in the draft and who got to waiver wire fast enough to pick up a player. Traditional fantasy sports lacks reality and rewards luck. It is not realistic to only focus on player performance and not consider contracts. Do NFL teams assemble their rosters without contracts? Absolutely not. What if you could create a game that was more like real life? Dynasty Owner incorporates a salary cap and assigns players to real-life NFL contracts. It's no longer about player performance. Every contract matters. And I should say it's not only about player performance. Forgive my typo here. 2021 season for Dynasty Owners just started. Starting at $29, you could play a fantasy game that lets users face similar decisions than NFL GMs and owners face. So start your Dynasty today at www.dynastyowner.com. You are already a better general manager than Howie Roseman. I promise you that. Let's talk tight ends. We're going to start off with my #2 tight end in the class, and that is Pat Freiermuth from Penn State. He is 6'5", 258 pounds. Nate, don't correct me. He's big. He's heavy. He can move good, though. 3 years played, all with terrible quarterback play, might I add. 29 games played, 92 receptions, 1,185 yards. He averaged 12.9 yards per reception and 16 touchdowns. Who would like to start on Pat Freiermuth? You're muted, Nate.
You should start, Mike.
Okay.
You're obviously up on him, so let's hear it.
Pork, you're muted too, just in case you're wondering.
I know.
You just were so solid. I was surprised. I was expecting the Dynasty Owner read through, and then it was our own advertisement for the Patreon, and then it went right into the Dynasty Owner read through. I was just over here minding my own business.
You guys should be lucky you get to work with me. I'm kidding. So why I like Pat Freiermuth as the #2 tight end in the class, I feel like, oh, Cody, shut up. I got to bring this comment up.
It's
Mike's
true.
Out of Penn Stater, and then he has an inappropriate emoji there. So what I like about Pat Freiermuth is this, and I've been saying it for 2 years, he is a better version of Mike Gesicki. Everything that Mike Gesicki does, he can do better. He's a better route runner. He's a better receiver. He's a better hand catcher, and he's a better blocker too. He's also not just an inline tight end. They can move him out wide. You can move him in the slot. He has great situational awareness too, which I hold very highly when it comes to players because that keeps you on and off the field. Just the way he catches the ball, he looks so natural at it. He looks to me like he's already playing in the NFL, watching him play, collegiate. And you say, oh, he's in the Big Ten. Okay, well, they play against Ohio State every year, and Ohio State's defense pretty much goes pro every single year. So you're playing against good competition in the Big Ten. So those are my thoughts on Pat Freiermuth. Really not much to say about a guy like Pat. And I try not to drone on too much about, Pat Freiermuth, Kyle Pitts, Trevor Lawrence when he goes up, because we know these guys.
You're right.
But Pork, what are your thoughts? How'd you like watching that Penn State film?
It was nauseating. No, not really. Actually, it kind of was nauseating because it's kind of hard to evaluate Pat Freiermuth when the quarterback play was just so bad with Clifford, and then they had Slovis or something like that. Can't think of his name, but he was just
Keaton Slovis is the guy from USC. I know who you're talking about, though.
I can't think of his name right now.
He's supposed to be better than Sean Clifford. By the way, if Nate Gary was a quarterback, it would be Sean Clifford.
I agree.
That was about right.
No, but I mean, when I had to look at his film, I had kind of just look at the intricacies of his game, and it's more of his release, his route running, and everything else, and just forget about him catching the ball because majority of the time the ball wasn't even close. But when he did catch it, I agree with Mike. It was very natural. But the beginning of his release reminds me of a good wide receiver. He's just like he slapped them hands down. He's getting open early. He's getting those ins and outs. And he's open on almost every play from what I can see. And he would probably to me be projected as an inline blocker, good blocker down low. And he had him run out of the slot too. So if it's run out of the slot, that means obviously his route running is good too. So he's my tight end too at this point.
Nate, before we get to you, Pork, can you tell me who put this comment in here from our Facebook group? What if AJ Dillon was a quarterback? Who would he be? Would you say what?
He'd be Jared Lorenzen. Adam Boyer.
All right, so that's Adam. He's a friend of the show. Him and Seth Robertson do the Back Row Cowboys show. Mm-hmm. So if you want to listen to a podcast talk about the Cowboys, that's where you can go. Love those guys, even though despite their Cowboys fandom. If he was a quarterback, he would be, I don't know, somebody not good.
Exactly.
You like Andy Dalton or something like that? Like,
that'd be too high praise.
That's
all right. Good. He'd be like Trace McSorley.
There you go.
There you go. Another terrible Penn State quarterback.
I will say this. Watching Sean Clifford makes me miss Trace McSorley. He was a good college.
Yeah, I agree with that. So. Better. What do you think, Nate?
But if you want to know my thoughts on Pat Freiermuth, since I'm the lowest probably on him, but that's because I have him ranked at tight end 3, and that means I hate him, right? But
right.
Pat Freiermuth, if he's my tight end 3 in this class, and it probably sounds bad because you're like, man, tight end 3 in last year's class was like a 5th rounder.
Feels bad.
This year, I have 3 guys who I think are first round, second round picks. All 3 of those top 2 tight ends I can see in the first 2 rounds. And if Pat Freiermuth was my tight end one of the Titans last year, he would have been my tight end 1. So I love Pat Freiermuth. I think he's great. And looking at his profile, I just wrote an article about it on Dynasty Owner. He's so pro ready. And I think that's what I really like about him. I think it's less important for fantasy, but at the same time, important for fantasy. He's going to be used on blocking plays. He's not as athletic as, say, a Brevin Jordan or Kyle Pitts. He's not going to go out there and run a 4.4. But he's very good at what he does, and he does everything well. He's ready to step right into a NFL team and contribute from day one as a blocker, as a catcher, and that's what he brings to the table. So because he's out in the field, it's going to get him more play right away. This isn't like Adam Troutman who only sees a couple snaps all throughout the year, has very minimal production because he's just a receiver and not ready for the NFL yet. Pat Freiermuth is ready to start day one. And while he's not the athletic guy the other guys are for your fantasy team, he's going to be out there right away and be playing nearly 100% of the snaps. So I just love that opportunity, even without knowing a landing spot. And once we actually get to him being on the field, he is great with his hands. He's great in contested catch situations. You can tell he played basketball because the way he boxes out defenders. And he's just really good at everything. He's like a better Cole Kmet. I think he's actually, my player comparison is Hunter Henry. They have similar athletic profiles. I think they kind of translate similarly to the NFL, where they are inline blockers, but also can be split out to the slot. So I think I've also heard, people say he's baby Gronk. I think that's kind of ridiculous because you shouldn't compare anyone to Gronk. But I do think he can be a fantasy football top tight end at the next level. I think he offers enough upside.
Yeah, why is it that every time there's like a tall white tight end that's good, everyone's like, "Oh, he's the next Rob Gronkowski." No, there might not ever be another Rob Gronkowski.
There won't be.
He's his own guy. So, anything else to add to Big Pat before we move on?
Just that Bob gave me the best landing spot for Pat Freiermuth. I think the number one landing spot I would love to see him in is the Indianapolis Colts.
That would be fantastic.
Not only just because of the fact that Carson Wentz is there, and we know Carson Wentz likes to throw to the tight ends, but also the Colts have no one at tight end. Their depth chart's empty. Jack Doyle is a cut candidate, and he's on the wrong side of 30. Mo Alley Cox was a restricted free agent. He's on a 1-year deal, but we've not seen any consistency from him. And Trey Burton's gone. So there's no one there. Pat Freiermuth can step right in. Like I said, day one, this would be, easily day one production from him. Good volume, good opportunity. I love the, and he also just seems like a Colt. He would help solidify an already incredible offensive line.
No, I like that spot a lot. It would be fantastic, to be honest with you. And, I did say before, don't freak out about not getting Kyle Pitts. If you get Brevin Jordan and you get Pat Freiermuth, maybe you're going to lose 20, 30, 40 points over the course of a season, but you might, make up for it at another position instead of overdrafting Pitts possibly. So if you get Brevin Jordan, if you get Pat Freiermuth, I think you're going to be okay. Like, I like in these two guys, Freiermuth and Jordan, like when we were talking about Hawkinson and Fant, it's really splitting hairs, and Kyle Pitts is in a tier all of his own. So I wouldn't even put him with those other guys. So I'd like to move on to Porkman's favorite tight end of the class.
Didn't say that.
Porkman, do you know why he's your favorite?
Because he's old as hell.
He's 25 years old from the University of BYU. That is Matt Bushman. He's 6'5", 240. So he did play 3 years. He opted out of 2020. 36 games played, 125 receptions for 1,719 yards. He averaged 13.8 yards per reception and 9 touchdowns. So Matt Bushman, Pork, you said you liked him, and I know you're concerned about the age, but let's keep in mind, generally speaking, we only keep our guys for one contract, for the rookie contract, ideally. So if we could put that aside, what are some of the positives that you see in Matt Bushman?
To me, he was like the security blanket for Zach Wilson the whole time, in my opinion. It was just like he would be in a bind and he would just throw the ball up to him. And we was talking about 50-50. It was more like 75-25 for him. He was catching pretty much everything. I feel as though when he gets on the field, he's going to be the guy that's the inline blocker. And he blocks very, very well. I don't have a optimal landing spot for him at this time. And I know a lot of people don't know about Matt Bushman because he does play for BYU. But when he is on the field, he's good at finding the soft zones and catching the ball with his hands. And he just gets open. And I know a lot of people like Zach Wilson. I wasn't the biggest fan, but for me, it just seems like every time he needed a guy, Bushman was there, and he would just throw it up and just catch it because he was playing against, obviously playing against little kids because he's freaking 25. But when he's out there, I really enjoyed this film, and I honestly wanted to put him as my tight end 2 or 3, but the age is my biggest issue, not my tight end 1. Kyle Pitts is the man, you know that. And I really wanted to put him that high, but when I saw, he was 25 and he went on the mission. So this, I guess he's, tight ends usually don't break out to their second or third year. So he'll be 28. And I'm not really sure when his birthday is. So he actually might be 29. So waiting for that breakout is going to be a little bit of an issue, but I think I'm going to wait, get him late rounds, maybe 4th, 5th round in rookie drafts, and throw him in a taxi squad and see what happens. The first year, he might hit the first year because he's already mature in the body. So if somebody can see that and utilize him in the right way, I really enjoy that immensely.
So I agree with you, and I have it written down. Reminds me of an old school inline tight end. If the Patriots wouldn't have signed both Dennis and Hunter Henry, he just reminds
And
me
drafted 2 tight ends last year.
Yeah,
Yep.
he reminds me of what the Patriots look for. A guy that's going to come in. He's already mature enough to play. He's developed enough. Let's get him out on the field. He can be productive. I kind of called him like Mike Gesicki light. He's solid. He's not spectacular. You know what I mean? And he's going to be a chain mover in the middle of the field. That's all I got for him. I'm probably not going to draft him. If I have like one of the last picks in the last round of my rookie draft and he's there, I might take him over some other prospects, but I'd probably pick him up as an undrafted guy. And like you said, Pork, stash him on the taxi squad and see what happens. Honestly. Now, who would win in a fight, him or Van Jefferson?
What?
Two Pork's favorite old guys going at it.
I'm taking Van all day. That's my boy.
I think I agree with you guys. I think there's, you guys have summed it up pretty well. The age is definitely something to kind of, worry about. We saw it with Hayden Hurst. He was an older prospect coming out as well because, he had played baseball for a while. And, he showed that he wasn't like super productive right away, but, he was decently productive. But he did get stuck behind Mark Andrews pretty quickly. So, I do think them being physically older at a position that, requires more blocking, I think it does mean that, he'll be able to contribute from day one. They don't have to wait for him to, fill out and be ready to, take on NFL players. I do like him. Like you guys said, like I'm probably not drafting him. I said this before the show. I put him on the show sheet when we first did it back like in January and maybe December. And I kind of actually meant to change it to somebody else, but you know what? Matt Bushman's fun and no one else is talking about him right now. And he's a guy that if he goes to a good landing spot, I might pick him up in the 5th round. Like say he's the one who goes to the Indianapolis Colts in like the 5th round. I would like that. I'm willing to take a gamble on that because he is going to be able to, get on the field pretty quickly.
Okay. I mean, that pretty much sums it up. He's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
But,
I'm still like seeing that I'm not the Brevin Jordan fan. I kind of because he's just not the traditional tight end. I know I'm the person that's not like everybody else, but me personally, as a just straight player, I like him slightly better than Brevin Jordan. That's just me though.
Because he's ready right now.
Yes, because he's ready right now.
Step on the field. And see, this is the thing that kind of frustrates me about the NFL, but we do have to pay attention to what teams do, and draft capital is important. It is one thing, but not the only thing. It just seems to me like these guys that are solid and consistent and can step on a field and contribute right away, they always get pushed to the 5th and 6th round. Yet the guy, they're raw, but they have all that athletic talent. Yet they're developing behind veterans that are basically like this. It's frustrating.
It's like you never know. You just got to play the game. Honestly.
Yeah.
Literally.
Let's move on to our last tight end here. Really doozies.
Fun.
We got for today. Hunter Long. I'm sorry, I got to say this. This has got to be like the whitest name ever for a football player. Hunter Long. He is from Boston College. Actually, I liked him a little bit more than I thought I was going to watching him. 6'5", 253 pounds. So 3 years at BC, which, by the way, watching Boston College film is not fun.
Nope.
For anyone that doesn't watch film. 26 games played, 89 receptions for 1,297 yards. He averaged 14.6 yards per reception and 9 touchdowns. Nate, let's start with you on Hunter
I feel like
Long.
we should start with you. You said you were more impressed than what you expected.
Yeah, but we started with me for Pat Freiermuth, so.
All right. Hunter Long, he's a guy that I think some people are ranking as like their tight end 4, the top guy after that top tier. I'm not sure if I'm that high on him. I think he is a pro-ready prospect, like the guys we talked about earlier.
Can I ask a good question?
Yeah.
Would you rather have Hunter Long or Kenny Yeboah?
I'd rather have Hunter Long.
Okay. Are we going to do the comps afterwards?
Oh yeah,
we can. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
We'll after Hunter, we'll come back and do that.
We'll come back and do everybody. Yeah. So back to Hunter Long. He messed me up there. He's pro-ready like the other guys we talked about. He's a good blocker. He saw a lot of volume. He handled a lot of volume. He actually led the nation in targets by a tight end last year. Not a ton downfield. He doesn't offer a lot down the field. He gets a lot of like 8, 9, 10-yard completions, just like those first downs across the middle of the field. He's got solid hands. He's a good route runner, and he offers a lot in the blocking game as well. So I think he's a guy that will probably get overdrafted because he'll have a good landing spot, because he's going to be a better NFL player than fantasy player. We say that with some of these prospects. That's Hunter Long. I don't expect him to produce a fantasy points equivalent to his draft capital. He'll probably be drafted, I would say, 3rd round by a team that's looking for like a guy that can put right in and contribute on the NFL game less than the fantasy game. He could be a guy that would play. If Harrison Bryant wasn't with the Cleveland Browns, Hunter Long would be a great tight end too in that system.
Mm-hmm.
And Hunter Long is going to be a great tight end too wherever he goes. He just might not be the tight end 1.
All right. So if he was behind like George Kittle, Kittle misses time.
I mean, if Hunter Long was behind George Kittle, that would be incredible for the 49ers to have Hunter Long,
the running game,
either tight end 2 in that
it'd be even
scheme.
better.
Yeah, and he would get schemed some touches in that system, but when I say some touches, I mean like maybe he has 30 catches the entire season for 360 yards. So touchdown dependent for a weekly, streamer.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I'm thinking like if he could go to a place like Carolina, would be a good spot for him, because I don't think Ian Thomas is it.
No,
to be honest with you. And in case you missed it, Sam Darnold was traded to the Carolina Panthers. So sell Teddy Bridgewater, buy Sam Darnold if you can. I'm glad I have Darnold on a bunch of rosters. Kind of felt stupid drafting him last year, but now you feel great.
Yeah,
it worked
right.
out.
Luckily, Porkman was on the clock when the news happened, and he just picked him right up.
Sure did. I was going to take him anyway. That's the friendly part. I was like, oh, this works. Confirmation.
Pork, you want to talk about Hunter Long?
Yeah, Nate pretty much hit the nail on the head with that one. It was more of the first thing I wrote down was better for the NFL than for fantasy. He was just like, he's like the blah tight end of today, honestly, for me. He was just, he was getting like them little quick dink and dunkers. But to me, it seemed like he was having issues with catching the ball in traffic for me. So every time he would it would be like a pass that's going towards the end zone, the safety's bearing down on him or linebackers bearing down on him. It's easy for the ball to get knocked out, and I'm not really looking for that for a tight end I want to draft in fantasy. So to me, it just seems like Nate said, he's going to be a really good tight end too, and then go off from there, be a really good blocker for a good team.
So I was watching his film, and do you know who he reminded me of?
Oh, I have one. I'll put Kyle Rudolph.
I like that. Yeah, but watching his film, Zach Ertz, and here's why. If everyone thinks of Zach Ertz as this massive explosive playmaker, in his prime, what he really was a middle of the field guy, solid, consistent, big dump off guy, 12 yards, you get tackled, you're down. He had good touchdown upside. That's what I saw here. He had good hands. He's a little bit more of an athletic inline tight end, and he's a middle of the field guy. I saw him make a few big plays where he shrugged off a tackle and he ran in for a touchdown. That's not really his game. I feel like he's going to be a safe guy if he ever gets a chance to be the tight end 1 somehow. You could do probably worse. If he's in a system where there's bad wide receivers and he gets force fed the ball, like Zach Ertz did in Philadelphia, you'd be looking at a guy who catches 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns easily, because he has decent hands. So do I see it happening? Maybe, but it seems unlikely right now. So it's hard to say. I mean, we have to also consider the Chargers as a good tight end landing spot too.
For sure.
Jared Cook. I want to really pay attention to whatever they do, because Jared Cook's not the long-term answer, obviously.
No. Yeah, if they picked up a guy like Hunter Long, it's a guy that you'll probably get cheaper midway end of the season than you would at the rookie draft, because he's if he goes to the Chargers, he's gonna be like what Adam Trotman was this year. 15 catches.
A stash.
But that's okay, because then you can next off season.
Exactly.
He's going to be a throw-in, because everybody, the smart dynasty players like you all are that are listening to this podcast, you don't give up on guys really easy. But your casual players are like, he's not going to do anything, blah, blah, blah. And he's a throw-in piece for you. So, and actually, to my Zach Ertz point here, so we're talking Hunter Long, 57 catches, 685 yards, 5 touchdowns, 11 games, okay? Just 11 for Boston College. When we look at Zach Ertz's senior year or last year at Stanford, 69 catches, so more yards, 898, and more touchdowns, 6. But that was in 3 more games. So if you, just statted everything out, Hunter Long would probably be pretty close. And as a matter of fact, his sophomore season, Hunter Long had him beat. 509 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ertz was 346 and 4. So the comparison could be made there, and I'm going to get crazy, and that's fine. Let's do the comp game, Nate.
All right.
Who would you rather? I forget, what exactly do we call it?
Who would you rather?
I think we just called it the comp game.
All right, let's go.
Well, we could call it Would You Rather.
Whatever you want.
Who'd you rather? All right. So Pat Freiermuth or Cole Kmet?
Freiermuth.
So I think we could probably be done with Freiermuth, because that is last year's top of the class. Now I can say, would you rather have Freiermuth or Fant or Hawkinson as prospects?
I would go.
I think I would go Hawk and Fant over
Hawk, Freiermuth, Fant.
Okay. So you have him there too.
Fant's a little bit. I think he has a better ceiling than Freiermuth, but Freiermuth, I think, has a safer floor than Fant.
Okay. I would have Freiermuth below both Fant and Hawkinson myself. Moving on to, let's go with Hunter Long next. Would you rather have Hunter Long or Harrison Bryant?
Harrison Bryant.
A little more.
Yep. Harrison Bryant. Would you rather have Hunter Long or Colby Pulled Porkinson?
Hunter Long.
Yeah, I'll take Hunter Long at that point.
Here's the thing about Parkinson. I kind of wish he would have got a shot to do something, but he was just big and slow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he was hard to tackle. He's 6'7" or something.
Yeah. Would you rather have Hunter Long or Adam Trotman as prospects?
Troutman. For fantasy, Troutman for sure.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. Fantasy Troutman, real NFL Hunter Long.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have Hunter Long in both instances. I actually wasn't super high on Troutman last year coming out.
No.
Nope.
Did his landing spot change your opinion of him?
Definitely. I'm not against acquiring him. In fact, speaking of that, I'm actually going to go ahead and make my pick live on air.
Oh.
That for this startup draft, I have Darren Waller at tight end, but I'm going to go ahead and grab myself a backup tight end, and I'm going to grab Adam Trotman.
Okay. Look at that. Perfect. I like it.
Did
we do it for the other guy?
Let's do it for Matt Bushman.
Okay.
You like that on-air pick? Great transition.
That was
Got
cool.
that.
I like it.
So Matt Bushman or Hunter Bryant?
Hunter Bryant? Oh, shoot. Why would you do that to me? That was my tight end one last year.
Hunter Bryant was the guy from Washington, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go Hunter Bryant. That was my freaking boy. And I still think he can do something. He was hurt last year.
Where even is he?
The Lions.
He's not doing anything there. Give me Bushman.
Bushman. I would also rather have Bushman. Actually, no. I'd rather have Hunter Bryant. Sorry, go back in my rankings. Would you rather have Bushman or Josiah DeGora, 3rd round pick of the Green Bay Packers?
I'm taking Bushman.
I'm going to take Bushman, although DeGora was interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Bushman. Would you rather have Bushman or Albert O?
Albert O.
Oh, you said as prospects?
I
might go Bushman.
I'd rather have Bushman. Albert O is just athletic to me.
Mm-hmm.
Was not a big fan of his tape. You know, he had the athleticism, which, you know, I have to rank highly, but outside of the athleticism, just didn't see it with him.
I like him. Give me Big O.
Okay. He looked good in Denver, though.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, he did.
Listen, that was a quick one, but that's okay. You know, I mean, we don't really need to touch on this too much. Tune in next week. We're talking some quarterbacks. Nate, who are we talking about again?
I believe we are we talking about the pro ready guys? Not the pro ready, the pro style.
I think it was Fields, Lance, and
we're talking about the runners. So we're talking about,
Fields, we're talking about someone. I thought maybe Nate had it up on his computer.
I don't have it up, but you know, there's 5, you might say 6 or 7 quarterbacks worth talking about in this draft. And we're going to talk about them.
All right. Well, I can tell you one thing, not next week, but the week after. I know we're talking about Kyle Trask, and I'm going to be higher on him than people might want me to be. So, but before we head out, do you want to have anything else that they would like to add?
I think that is it.
All right. So, Nate, until next time, or until a few minutes when we do our Patreon show, where can we find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Nate NFL. I am just finished day 23 of the 30 days, 30 prospects. So tomorrow is 22. I can give you a little hint if you're listening. Tomorrow's prospect is going to be the guy who ran a 4.7, Jamon Osborne. So I'm going to tell you why he's good on tape, but the athletic testing was terrible. Today was actually Daz Newsome, Porkman's guy.
Yes, sir.
Diami Brown's better. And Porkman, you can find you on Twitter.
He is better. Shut up, Mike. You can follow me at FF Porkman.
All right, and you can follow me on Twitter at, I almost said the Bauer 85, but it's actually at Rewind CEO. I would much rather you follow the show at Dynasty Rewind. Hey, make sure if you want some awesome merch, you check out Viridian Global. We are part of the Viridian Collective. We have t-shirts, hoodies. We got toques, also known as beanies here in the States, and we have awesome trucker hats as well. And we got some snapbacks. Check out our YouTube mock drafts uploaded every Monday morning at 6 a.m. Friday nights at 9 p.m. is our one-on-one series. That is me interviewing somebody from the fantasy football community. All sorts of great stuff going on. I got to remind you, subscribe, rate, and review. It helps us reach out to more people. Make sure you check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. And until next time, everybody, be kind. Please rewind. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Dynasty Rewind. Please make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. And as always, be kind. Please rewind.